I don't even know what to say regarding the intro for this video, because this show, these first 3 episodes, welcome to my safe haven! So as I'm sure many of you know, because a couple people have been hitting me up asking me if I'm going to do a review on this show, but for those of you that don't know, there is a comic book property adaptation that has just hit Amazon Prime on Friday called Invincible. The comic book was written and created by Walking Dead creator Robert Kirkman, and the animated version of the comic is currently on Amazon Prime right now. But because this review is coming out pretty late and everything like that, I'm not going to give a synopsis about Invincible. If you haven't seen Invincible, do yourself a favor, check out the trailer and then watch the first 3 episodes that are currently on Amazon Prime. This review is going to be full on spoilers, so yeah, if you haven't seen Invincible episodes 1, 2, and 3, this is your time to bow out. Really quick though, like, I've been hearing about the Invincible series for the longest time, and I've been hearing people say, oh, it's the greatest comic book story ever, you should definitely check it out, and I've been wanting to check it out for a while. I just hadn't gotten around to it. And so when I finally heard that the show was going to premiere on Amazon Prime, I finally bought Compendium 1, Compendium 2, and Compendium 3. And I mean, look at this thing, like, all 3 compendiums, this is thick. And you know I like it thick. That's what he said. Let me stop. But part of the main reason this review is coming late is because I didn't actually start reading it until pretty late. And so knowing that this first season was going to come out, I was like, you know what? I want to read at least the first 12 issues before I jump into the first season, because I don't think this first season is going to go beyond the first 12 issues. So I started reading, and right now I'm on issue 14. And then finally I jumped in and watched those first 3 episodes. And oh man! So for this review, this is not going to be a play-by-play of every single episode. These are just the things that I want to talk about for these 3 episodes. And as you see on the shirt that I wear, because it's a thing that I say constantly with regards to the things that I love in my fantasy: blood, sex, gore, and magic. And my God, this show has that in spades. Again, granted, it's not literal magic, but there are superheroes, they're flying, they're blasting energy bolts. That's magic. And I saw this online, and it makes sense because the creator of this show is Robert Kirkman. But I saw somebody said that Invincible is The Walking Dead meets The Boys. And that is so true. Like, can we talk about that final fight between Omni-Man and the Guardians of the Globe? Like, holy like, I don't think I've seen an animated property so brutal really since Castlevania. And even Castlevania, I don't think is as brutal as this fight was in this episode. Now granted, I have read the first 14 issues or whatever of the comic, and so I saw or knew this moment was coming. However, A, I didn't know it was coming in the very first episode, and B, I didn't know it was going to be drawn like that. Like, the way it is in the comic, it is not how it is depicted in this animated show. Like, it's a way better fight in the show than it is in the comic. And plus, you know, animated, you actually get to see them move as opposed to one comic panel where you got to insert your imagination to it. Like, oh, I loved everything about this fight. And also a big thing about the show versus the comic, and I'm not going to go fully into spoilers for the comic because I don't know what they're going to touch on for the show that's in the comic and things like that, because there are things in the comic that they haven't touched on in the show and things in the show that's not in the comic that might show up later on. I don't know. So yeah. But the thing that I appreciate for this first episode versus what's in the comic is you really got to know and get more of a sense of who the Guardians of the Globe were. You got to see them in this big epic fight between the Marler twins in the beginning of this episode, which is something that you didn't get in the comic. Like, in the comic, you don't really see the Guardians of the Globe really until it's time for them to die. Like, you're made aware of who they are. If I remember correctly, you don't see the Guardians of the Globe in the comic until you see in this first episode that moment that they all got summoned to their watchtower or Fortress of Solitude or whatever they call their headquarters. That's the first time you see the Guardians of the Globe. And then also in the comic, there isn't really a fight between Omni-Man and the Guardians of the Globe. Like, they're instantly taken out in the comic. And so I appreciate that you got to see these characters more fleshed out, and it was actually a battle between them and Omni-Man, which also gets to show how formidable the Guardians of the Globe were. Because in the comic, the way he instantly takes them out, it's like, well, why did he feel that he needed to take them out if they're not really that big of a threat to him? But oh man, like that battle, I freaking loved it. Now, I will say, granted, it didn't take away my enjoyment for the battle, but I do kind of wish, and this is one of my contentions knowing that this first season is only 8 episodes, considering there's so much to tell with Invincible. I mean, again, this is just Compendium 1, and look how many pages it is and how much story they could potentially tell. And granted, I am coming from it from a perspective of having read the comic, and I know if you didn't read the comic, you're hella shocked about how it ended. However, I will say, I wish we got to spend more time with Omni-Man like you did in the comic, so that the reveal of him killing the Guardians of the Globe would be way more shocking. Because in the comic, it wasn't until like issue 7 that he did what he did. So you got to see him in issues 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 be a superheroic, the Superman of the world. So then when you get that reveal, he goes and betrays the Justice League of this world, the Guardians of the Globe. You're just like, oh, what the f? But like I said, considering this first season is only 8 episodes, they're rushing through a lot of plot points, which makes me go, I need to hurry up and read more. Because like I said, I thought this first season wasn't going to go beyond the first 12 issues. But I'm like, based on these 3 episodes alone, we're already like past issue 10. And another thing this show really has going for it, and what helps drive the hype factor, is the animation for this show is fucking gorgeous. And it really reminds me of Ryan Ottley's art from the comic. Like, I'm going to insert some comic panels right here as I'm talking, and like as you're looking at this, like you could tell it looks almost 1-for-1 for what you see in the actual animation. And I don't think Ryan Ottley is drawing the show, but it's damn near 1-for-1. Like obviously it looks a little bit more smoother and things like that, but it's just as gorgeous. And for the most part, the character designs are pretty much beat for beat. Now, there are some changes, like, for example, his best friend, whose name escapes me right now, he doesn't look the same in the comic as he does the animated series. And granted, I didn't necessarily have a problem with the best, but at the same time, I'm like, well, you know, you got the gay best friend, it's a trope. And based on what I'm reading in the comic, from issue 14, he's not the gay best friend, but I did find out later on, spoilers for the comic or whatever, but I guess it's not because it's in the show, but that character does end up coming out later on in the comics, and they just rushed it through and have him already be an out gay man or an out gay teen in the comic book series, but at the same time, still just like, yeah, it's still a trope, the gay best friend, and he's probably not going to really, granted, I don't know, but I'm like, I highly doubt he's going to play that big of a role in the show. But regardless, another thing that helps this show fly on all cylinders is this show is packed with so many A-list and high-profile celebrities voicing these characters. Like, you have Stephen Young voicing the character of Mark Grayson, Invincible. You have J.K. Simmons as Omni-Man. You have Sandra Oh as his mother. You have Mark Hamill. You got Zachary Quinto. You got Mahershala Ali. You have Zazie Beetz, Sonequa Martin Green. You have Andrew Rannells, Kari Payton. So many names that are just like, whoa. And I feel like they do a fantastic job in these roles. Like, I love the vocal performances in this show, especially J.K. Simmons as Omni-Man. And funny enough, I heard somebody else say this, but in the way Omni-Man is drawn, especially considering the fact that it's J.K. Simmons voicing the role, he looks like if J. Jonah Jameson got superpowers, and then you have the J. Jonah Jameson of the movieverse voicing this character. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure they did that on purpose. But I cannot wait to see more from all these characters. After I'm done recording and editing and uploading this review, I'm going to go back and finish reading more of the comic. Because like I said, after the first 3 issues, we're already past like issue 10. So I'm like, by the time this show ends, I don't know. Well, what are we going to be by issue 25? So I'm like, I need to hurry up and read. But like, man, Omni-Man is a beast. Like that episode, I believe it was episode 3, when he goes into that world of the aliens that were trying to take over Earth, and that when they get in our dimension, they age really quickly, so they keep going back to their world, improving their technology, and coming back and retrying every single time. When Omni-Man gets trapped in their world, this is something that they didn't show in the comic. They just showed him come back, and he had the, you know, the moment that he came back in the house and he had the beard and he's like, I need a shower. That's all they showed from him. But in the show, they actually showed him pretty much destroying that entire dimension and like showing how powerful he is and how much he is wrecking shop in that dimension. I was just like, bruh. And can we also talk about this guy right here, Rexplode? He's such an asshole. Like, I was so glad when Monster Girl him up. I was like, yeah, like, give me more of that. And even then, even after he got his ass beat, he still didn't learn. He's still an asshole. But yes, for Monster Girl. But I love Monster Girl. We only saw her for a brief moment, but that was good enough for me. But overall, I'm loving this series so far, both the comic and the show. I'm super excited to not only finish more issues of the comic book, I can't wait till next week to get to episode 4. I do kind of find it weird that there's only 8 episodes for this first season, but then they still decided to release the first 3 episodes so quickly, because I'm like, we're almost at the halfway point already. So I would think they'd want to pad it out a little bit, but I don't even think you needed to release the first 3 episodes, but they did, and I'm happy because I love those first 3 episodes. But yeah, but overall, if you couldn't tell already, I'm going to say Invincible episodes 1, 2, and 3, and so far issues 1 through 13 in the comic book series are a blockbuster. I'm just like, I just wanted to say real quick, I'm like, if I could offer one kind of criticism, but it's not really a criticism, but I'm just going to say it just because it's me. But I'm like, if it was up to me, if I was the one writing it, Mark Grayson, Invincible, he would have been the gay one and not the random best friend who really has no bearing on the story. So I'm like, yeah, give me that. And the 2 love interests that he has, Amber would have been Andre, and Adam Eve would have been Adam instead of Atom, but Adam Evan. But like I said, I still love the show. But the question is, what did you guys think of these first 3 episodes of Invincible? Did you read the comics? What do you think about the differences between the comic and the series? Let me know down in the comment section below. Also, if you can, hit that thumbs up button and like this video to really help out the channel. And if this is one of your first time checking out one of my videos, please check out the other videos on my channel. And if you like what you see, please subscribe for more and hit that bell notification button so you're alerted every single time I post a new video. And tell your friends, families, and neighbors about my channel to help me continue to grow. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.